Welcome to Caseback Watches, very special episode. Yes, in this episode you have the chance to look a bit behind the curtain because I will explain in this episode how to play the Caseback Watches theme song, the song or the tune or the score you've heard in the intro. Because apparently some people have tried to play it on the guitar and it's not self-explaining. You cannot hear all the details in the mix and there are some special voicings. And so I will go over that little score and after that you will be able to play it. Even if you're not the super high skilled guitar player, even if you have basic knowledge, I think you can master that little tune. So this is the first part of the video, and in the second part we go into my little workshop and then I will go over the Courier bag, which is one of my favorite items in men's wardrobe, the classic Courier leather bag. And I will explain why it has this interesting form, what makes it so functional, and where are the difference between cheap, expensive, high quality and low quality. So not really a watch video, but I think from time to time we need a little break from the serious business what that watches are. But I will show you my wrist. Today I'm wearing the grün, very thin gold-plated watch from the 50s, which I like pretty much. Alright, and now let's start with the tune with Caseback Watches theme song, so to speak. And people have asked me if I have written that piece, and the answer is yes, but written is a very big word. It's basically a turnaround in G minor. And turnaround means you cycle through some chords from G minor to G minor. So it's a bit like a loop and there's a bit of melody above it and that's basically it. So it's not rocket science really. But there are some special chords involved. But let me show you the entire thing first. Are the rhythm changes, and you see that's very straightforward, it's very short, but we can analyze it a bit to make it easier to play it. So the first chord is a G minor, and many of you know the G minor like that. In jazz it's a bit not really edgy, and so most players play other types of G minor chords, and in this case it's a 6. There is a 6. Here's the root, the G, and there's the 6. And this gives a bit of a mysterious sound. It's not so obvious, and so this is very good for this type of music, that you don't have the symbols choice you can imagine. And the next chord is a diminished. This is the A diminished chord, and this is just the next chord in the scale. Every scale forms chords. So a G minor scale, when you put all these notes together to the second chord, you have a diminished. Beautiful. Beautiful. A bit more complicated, you need that little beret here. There you go. But with a bit of practice, a bit of mysterious sound again, and it just fits. You can hear the relationship between these chords, I think. Next chord. Believe it or not, this is a G minor. Pure G minor. All I did, I have arranged it a bit differently. So the root tone, the G now is there. And here is the minor third. So the 3 is here, here's the root tone, here's the 5, and here's again the 1, this is another G. So very simple. And in our example, that's it. All you have to do now is to train, to practice these 3 chords. G minor 6, A diminished, G minor. That's it. That's basically it. And the next chord is in E flat, E7, 9. E flat 7, 9. This means you have the 7 and a 9, which is, of course, very jazzy. And often I played a bit sloppy, so I then can play the E string as well. Sometimes I play every string. I just make little berets here and there to grab every string here. And that's the last chord is the D7-9, and so this is the very simple part. It's very comfortable to grab them, although it's not the last chord. There's a bit of a monster, a final boss. But so we have very important, this rhythm at the end. And now the last chord is this. This is of course very nice, and you have heard this in movies, for example, because there's this Bondish. It's our G minor 6 again, but with the 7, with a big 7 here, and this is of course a bit impossible to play, although perhaps you're an octopus, then you can play that, but we normal mortals, we must invent some tricks now to grab that thing here, because I'm out of fingers now, okay? And so you use your thumb, that's the trick. Then you make here a little beret, and then you have 2 fingers left for this sound. And this of course sounds amazing. There you go, that's the entire song, or the entire, it's not really a song, it's a turnaround. And there you go. And now you have this effect, this hysterical sound, which really adds something to the entire thing. And believe it or not, this is again a G minor 6. You can hear, most people don't believe it. What? That's the same chord? It's impossible, but it actually is. There is your 5, the 5 from the G minor chord, which is not included. It's here. There you have it. Now it's here. Here you have the 6. Excuse me. There's the 6, so 5, 6, and this here is the 3, the major 3. So that's this, but of course it sounds hysterical, and this is done for purpose. And now we have a little extra at the end when it goes. Then apply it. This is an arpeggio over D7-9, our D7-9 accord. Perhaps you can figure it out by hearing together with what you see here. I play it super slowly. And then of course you have to play it with more speed and attack. Attack is here the keyword. And that's it. That's the Caseback title score, if you will. So let me know in the comments if you found this helpful, if you could follow, and if you can play it now or after some practice. And it would be of course great if somebody tries to play it, record it, and send it to caseback.watches@icloud.com. I would love to hear your results with that little tune. So this would really make my day. And so if you are a bit ambitious and you want to prove yourself, then do it. caseback.watches@icloud.com. Alright, and that was the music, and now let's check out some leatherwork in my workshop here, the Caseback Courier. What makes a good Courier bag as a key essential part of your wardrobe? Why does it have that form? What's the difference between quality and cheap products? But as always, this is not a commercial. You can use this knowledge for other bags from other manufacturers, other leather items, okay? So let's do that. Okay, and here we are in my little workshop, and this is my personal Caseback Courier bag. So you see signs of usage and scratches all over the thing. I don't mind that. For me, it's perfectly fine. I want to see actually some character and some patina here, and this is exactly what you got. Okay, let's go over the basics briefly. This is the classic Courier bag for documents, but nowadays more for your laptop or for your iPad, I should say, because this is rather small for your smartphone. and your personal belongings, your EDC, so to speak. But you find these bags back in medieval times, centuries ago, for documents, for messengers with documents. And that's why this bag is also called messenger bag. And there is a specific form to it. You may notice that this is a so-called portrait format, let's call it that way, and not horizontal. I mean, the normal bag, when you imagine the normal bag, then you have something in a horizontal format. But this is in a high format. Why? The answer is very simple. This is supposed to be worn close to your body. Here's your body, and you don't want parts of the bag in front of you or behind you. You want to have it close on your body. You see this nice curve here. So it should stick close to the messenger to create as little attention as possible. And in fact, you could and you can wear this under a large overcoat. And that's the idea behind this format. It's not only fashion, there's a real reason behind it. And also a reason is behind the material. You find this nowadays in many forms, super stiff and hard and very loose and soft and wobbly. And I tried to stay away from these extremes, because what I like here is that this bag has a contour, has a clear defined contour. This means it's robust. You can put something fragile in that bag and it will protect it well. But it's not so stiff that it's uncomfortable near to your body, okay? Because as you can see again here, the bag follows actually my habits, my body. And so it cannot be super rock solid stiff. It should be a bit flexible, but stiff and hard enough to protect your valuable EDC, for example. Here you have three buckles for a maximum of flexibility, so that you can make whatever you want with this belt system. You can alter it to your own requirements with ease and again. So this is very, very handy to have. And the measurements are very typical here. This is a width of 22 centimeters, 27.5 is the height of the bag, and the thickness is around 6.5 centimeters. And so it's enough for a book, it's enough for an iPad, it's enough for your wallet, even larger wallets. It's not big enough for an entire laptop or coffee table books or something like that, but of course they are available also in larger measurements. But I find this very handy for a day-to-day use, and it's relatively lightweight. This weighs 730 grams in total, and this sounds much, but when you see all the components and the thickness of the material, you will find it very, very lightweight. And now let's go briefly over the functionality. As said, you have three buckles. Here you have a buckle on the other side and a central buckle for the strap or the belt, whatever you want to call it. Then you have they call this old brass. Again, very lightweight thing. This clasp here, and then you're on the inside. And the inside here is pretty raw. It looks raw, but it's treated with a rubber solution. So you don't have the naked flesh side of the leather here. You have something well treated, feels good. And then you can look inside. I mean, you will not see much. Focus here, focus there. There you go. And that's the entire functionality. And I really like this buckle type because it's relatively affordable, but it's super robust. It works, it never fails. On the other side, it has some sharp metal parts. That's why you have on the inner section here, you have a bit of lining. You have a bit of leather lining so that you don't hurt yourself touching these metal parts. And of course, it makes a very nice sound. Okay, but now, as said, you find these bags from various manufacturers in various qualities. And I'd like to explain briefly what's high quality, what's low quality, where are the difference between cheap and expensive. The first difference is the material. This is vegetable tanned leather from Italy, cowhide, and that's the finest material and best material you can buy on the planet, and it comes with a price. Entire hide of this material will set you back around 450 euros, and so that's a bit of money, and you see that you need some large swatches from that. And often these animals have some ugly scars you don't want to use, so you cannot use the entire hide, and you have to be a bit careful when cutting these plates. Here you see the original material for this kind of bag. This is cow leather from Italy, vegetable tan, makes nice sounds. And then you can color it by hand. Actually, I do everything here by hand, not with this thing. This is only for smaller repairs, but the substance here is the same. See? And you need some layers to create this look. You can imagine you have to polish it with wax to create that look, but these are exactly the materials which I use for this product. Then the second difference is that this is a hand-stitched seam. Every seam you see here is hand-stitched, and this has a certain look because both sides are attractive. With machine stitching, you have a problem that the top always looks perfect, but the underside is a bit ugly. And every hand stitch forms a loop inside the material. And this, of course, strengthens the entire construction. Because when you have a damage here and the yarn here breaks, or the thread I should say, when it breaks, doesn't matter, it will not come loose. There will come 2, 3, 4 stitches will come loose at the maximum, and the rest will keep tight as that. So you have your year or your 2 years to bring it to a leather manufacturer or leather workers for a repair. And so it's a very sturdy but time-consuming task. And the third difference between cheap leather products and expensive and well-made is the edge finishing. You can't just sew together or glue together edges. It's absolutely no problem. And with cheaper ones, you see that this is raw and open. You just see the edge raw and open for moisture and everything. And with high-end leather products, this is sealed with beeswax or with other products or with heat. And this, this is time-consuming because every edge, every single edge, also every edge of the strap is sealed with beeswax and polished to maintain longevity, to create longevity, and to be honest, to create a certain very pleasant look, because it looks just nice. When you buy something like this, on the first day, these edges will look perfectly fine. Not raw, not frayed, they will just look perfect. But this has a price. This bag here now retails at 455 euros, at least in Germany. It might depend on your location if you have to pay VAT or not. But with VAT and everything on top, you have a price here of 455, which sounds high, but when you see all the material costs and the hours of work, then it's a very, let me tell you this, it's a very, very conservative calculation without big markups for a fancy brand. And at the end, this is the main difference between cheap and expensive, is the longevity. This thing will last basically forever. And now one word about maintenance, because when you're willing to invest in such a bag, of course, you want to keep it in good shape. You want to enhance the longevity even. And that's luckily very simple. I have a scratch repair tutorial, by the way, here on the channel. If you have a scratch like that, you can remove it 100% with some very easy techniques. This is another video. You find it here on the channel. But I'm talking here about normal maintenance now. And luckily, we don't have to believe the industry that wants to convince us that we need 20 cans of something and every can is 20 bucks. No. When you analyze the ingredients of these products, then you will find as a basic material beeswax. And beeswax in its original form is very hard. So they mix beeswax with oil, mineral oil or whatever. And so then you have something like that. Creamy, yellowish, often with fragrance, sometimes not. And it does the job. It doesn't matter if this is for 20 bucks or for 5. Important is that it contains wax and a solvent. And all you have to do now is use a brush or a cloth, and then you just rub it on the product. First, it will cause some stains. See this? Now we will say, oh no, now I've caused some sort of dark stain there. It's not a problem. That it will go away overnight, and so your job is just to treat the entire bag, including the seams, with this sort of leather balm, and then you're good to go. Now you wait a night, and then it will look very, very nice, and then you can polish it with a cloth, or when it's dry, even better, with a large brush. Okay, large brush, because the brush, again, these brushes can reach also the little holes here around the stitching. then you can give it a polish. I will not do this because now it's full of covered with this material. But that's the way you treat these leather products. Very, very simple. And often also the question comes up, if these products, this leather quality, can it be wet? Can it get wet? Does it damage the material? Answer is no, absolutely not. If you have a few drops of rain, it's absolutely not a problem. If you have a bit more of rain, not a problem. You should clean it at the first possible minute. So I think really a problem is when you have something like that and you have a little puddle here for a couple of minutes or an hour. This will cause a permanent stain. But a bit of what, you know what, just let's do it. You see, there's a bit of water on top, not a problem. It will soak in, it will penetrate the beeswax here on top, and then it will enter the material, but that's not a problem. If you realize something like that, will get a bit darker in a minute. It's not a problem, just rub it away. Tomorrow you will not see anything on this material here, but you have to be a bit careful. But it's easy to be a bit careful. As said, this bag is close to your body, so your arm is over the thing all the time. Or if you have an umbrella over you, then it's not a problem to keep this thing dry. And so I think the risk that this can be ruined by water is very, very limited. So it's really not a problem. I wouldn't see. All right, that's all I wanted to show you here in the workshop. If you have further questions regarding quality, maintenance, everything, don't hesitate, just put them here in the comment section. There's a little trick to practice difficult things like this. I wouldn't consider this difficult because I've practiced it so much, and the main problem is that you get tired of it. And the trick is watch TV. I know that's hard to swallow really, or hard to hear. You just put your TV or YouTube videos on your headphones with noise cancelling so that you can hear your guitar a little bit, and then you go for 12 or 15 minutes just and so on and so on. And that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.